Welcome back. In today's episode, we finish up the interview with Brad Hart. In today's episode, we talk about how to make decisions in your business and how to grow into the person you were meant to become.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. If you were flat broke tomorrow, what would you do?
Oh, man, I would call it Jason Gaynard because he had that exact situation happen to him where he invested, he was in debt and he has a whole struggle that goes on with that. And now he's the founder of Mastermind Talks, which is arguably one of the best networks on the planet. Like, it's invite only. It only happens once a year. The last one was at Noahide. They're never going to add more people to it.
Oh, a buddy of mine was at that event.
Yeah. So Jason's incredible. He had like Tony Hawk and Gary Vee come out, and Tim Ferriss has talked there, and a bunch of great people. Yeah. So for me, like, Jason is literally wrote the blueprint in the book on that. What he did and what I would do is, focus on building the network, right? Focus on building relationships, because people get hung up on their ego or what happened in the past. You really got to let go of all that stuff. You can learn from your experience, but you can't let it define you, right? So for me, it would be about getting on a team where I could, stop the bleeding, right? Get paid enough where, I can make the bills work. And I'm very fortunate to be in a position where I don't need a job right now, but, I have offers, and then I would build from there. I would create a situation where I wasn't bleeding. And then from that space, you can kind of take a breath and be like, all right, what's next? As long as the bills are paid and everything's cool, and any dependents or family members or spouses are taken care of, then you can take a breath and say, all right, what's the next step? But really, I would just get a job, right? I'm not dead. I'm not broke. I can add value to companies. I can be an entrepreneur as well as an entrepreneur. Yeah. I've been blessed and fortunate enough to be an entrepreneur for almost 10 years now, but that doesn't mean I can't go backwards. I've been working for since I was 13. I started mowing lawns. I've had 100 different jobs, it feels like. I've done everything you could think of. I've worked on ambulances. I've worked at shooting ranges. I've been a bartender. I've worked in real estate, finance. I ran a fund. I've done sales. I've done everything you could possibly think of, Thor, and I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty and just do the thing. Yeah. But now I'm smarter than I've ever been because I know myself better than I've ever done. And I can look at what I'm great at and I can really add value to. And that's the only differentiation, is that I had to fail and try so many different things to really understand who I was and how I can add value to the world.
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for the last 16 years. The only thing that scares me is I don't know if I'm employable anymore. I think I'd be a pain in the ass employee.
Yeah, I promise you, if the circumstances dictated, your ego would have to catch up pretty quickly.
Oh, no. I'm good with that. It's not my ego. It's just I think I might be a little difficult to be as an employee. The boss is like, hey, we need to do this, this, and this. Well, that's a stupid idea. What we need to do is this.
Well, you can get fired a bunch until that.
That's right. Maybe I get fired of it. Well, all they would have to do is say, okay, here's our product. We need this to be sold. And if that's all they said to me, I'd be great.
Yeah.
Just show me the phone and show me what needs, just tell me what needs to get sold. Done.
And there's so many great ways to sell. I mean, it used to be you had to nail the phone all day, but now you have webinars. I mean, there's so many great pieces of technology and leverage. You can sell from stage, you can sell in a group, you can sell on Facebook, you can sell through ads. There's just so many great ways that you can leverage now that 20 years ago didn't exist, that major companies aren't even using. I know people that they're clocking $200,000-$300,000 a month selling through webinars. That's an incredible skill set to have. And it just makes the game change for everybody. It's just like, how many phone calls could you have in a day? Versus how many people could you sell on a webinar? It's just an incredible thing. So, I just look at it like money's out there. The tools are out there. If you really dedicate yourself to learning and honing your craft, and sales is not, salesy or spammy or smarmy. It's like, it's just matching up.
Yeah. Find something of value that your audience needs.
Yeah. It's finding out, who is this person in front of me? How can I leave them better off than I found them, or group of people or crowd or webinar attendees, whatever it is, but what problems do they have? How can I add the most value in solving that problem? And even if it's not my thing that I'm going to pitch, if I really take the time to understand them, I'll not only know my market better so I can target more efficiently and get the best leads, but I'll also close more deals in aggregate because nobody is made to feel like you're just trying to sell them anything. You're really trying to get to the heart of the matter of what they need.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the most powerful thing any salesperson can learn.
Absolutely. I turn away most of my prospects. Literally.
Yeah, you should.
I turn away more than I take, literally. And they get upset. I said, look, I have a lane that I am better than anybody. And what you're looking for me to do for you, could I do? Yes. I don't have any problem doing that. But I'm not the right guy. There's other people out there that are better for you. Somebody
you give to girls and they love you for it.
Well, yeah. Well, they're like, well, I'll pay you more money. I said, look, it's not about the money. I had someone recently ask me, they're like, I need your help on some SEO stuff. And I have this program, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Can you help me? I was like, yes, but I'm not your SEO guy. That's, there's people that all they do is that. Find that person. So, yeah, and they do. And quite frankly, and I stay in touch with them. And if they come up in a situation where they get back into my lane, I'm more than willing to help them. But I want to make sure that their interaction with me is not good. It's absolutely spectacular.
Outstanding.
Yep.
Absolutely. And I think that really just does better for the tribe in general, right? I mean, if you refer them to an SEO guy and then they come back to you and they need what you are great at, well, guess what? They're going to be 1,000% satisfied that they're making the right decision. And it's not even going to be a conversation. It's going to be a when do we begin? How do we start?
Absolutely. Right? And everyone that I do turn away, they get something of value. I'll have a conversation. I'll spend 15, 20 minutes on the phone and talk about, my thoughts about the area. And I want to send them away with something that they can use, but they need to find someone that is all they do, especially when it comes to technology nowadays. So tell me about a time where you needed to make a business decision. And like all entrepreneurs, we don't have the full set of facts, but we've got to pull the trigger. How do you come up and make that decision when everything is not clear yet?
Well, that's a great question, and it comes back. The first thing that jumps into my mind is a book called The Paradox of Choice by Barry Schwartz. And there's a couple things that are really important about this, is that human beings, the more options they consider, the less satisfied they'll be with their eventual choice that they make, right? So you want to limit the number of things you decide to 3. And the reason I choose 3 specifically, sometimes up to 5, but let's just say 3, because one choice is not a choice at all. It's just you got to go with that. 2 choices is a dilemma, right? Well, is it this or is it that? And then come out the pros and cons lists, and it becomes 58 whiteboards, and I don't want to do that either. So 3 choices really gives you a sense of, okay, I have some options here. So I want to create optionality first, right? I never believe that there's only 1 or 2 decisions. I try to find at least 3 choices I could make, even if choice number 3 is I do nothing, and I see what happens, right? So that's one thing. And then the other thing that is really important about the paradox of choice is that given any particular set of circumstances, making a choice is typically your best option, right? Just making some sort of action forward, moving forward in some way, whether it be, even a retreat at the time, right? Even if it seems like you're taking a step backwards, doing anything is typically better than doing nothing, because you don't like the situation you're in, which is why you're making a choice to begin with. So you want to make that decision to move something forward, and then typically something shakes out that you didn't even anticipate, right? Because you don't have all the information, like you said. But moving forward allows that to happen. So that's kind of how I approach it. But difficulty-wise, like there's so many things you could do in the world. I think people get hung up thinking that they have no choice. And in reality, they have infinite choice. Yeah. And that's just, it's a double-edged sword, right? The infinite choice creates a ton of problems, but believing you don't have infinite choice is even worse, because then you feel stuck, and nobody wants to feel stuck. People want to feel like they're expanding at all times, and that's when they feel like they're thriving the most. So that's what I recommend is just remind yourself, like, I have unlimited choices. I could quit my job today. I could stop doing podcasts and radio interviews. I could throw this book out the window. I could move to Thailand. I could become a monk. I could.
Yeah, I think so many people try to self-evaluate what those choices are. I always ask people, what could you do? Not what will you do, what could you do?
Even if it's a quality question.
Even if it's a bad idea, just, what could you do? First one is nothing, right? You always have nothing. Next, there's always infinite number of choices to be made. If you had an hour to interview someone, dead or alive, who would it be? And what would you ask?
Hands down.
Who?
Peter Diamandis, the founder of X Prize and Singularity University, along with Ray Kurzweil. He's one of the most fascinating men who also is very similar in my way I approach the world and skill sets, just talking to people and being able to form those relationships. But he's done it at such a high level. He's also, a multi-doctor. He's been doing this for a very long time. He's in his late 50s, I think, late 50s, mid 50s. And he's somebody I want to definitely continue to form a relationship with. And I'm looking to go to his mastermind next month in Beverly Hills, which is not cheap, but it's going to be full of amazing people, which I feel like I could add a lot of value to. And they're really going after the moonshots, right? They're really going after those exponential opportunities to use technology to serve humanity at just a crazy level and create billions of dollars in not only monetary value and wealth, but also change and progress and problem solving, the likes of which we haven't even seen yet. Like, it's just going to speed up so much faster. You're going to have AI and VR and ubiquitous internet and clean water and solar cells on the roofs like Elon Musk just put out. And there's so many
awesome
technologies coming down the pipe that are going to change drastically. I mean, just look at aviation. We now have a society where for like a couple $100, which is accessible for most people, you can go across the country. That same trip 120 years ago would take 3 months and people would die along the way. Like, it was an arduous journey. Now it takes 5-6 hours, you're there, and it's not a big deal. And you could actually do things with your day that aren't just travel, right? That's just how far we've come in the last 100 years. In the next 100 years, it's going to go even faster, right? 8 years ago, we didn't have a supercomputer in our pocket that we could contact any living being with the same supercomputer in the world at the touch of a button, right? We all have access to ubiquitous video and streaming. We all have access to YouTube University, where you can learn anything that a human being could ever want to learn. The internet is just an incredible place, which is creating so much change, and it's creating a lot of divisiveness and echo chambers and challenges as well. But it's creating so much opportunity if people just look at it the right way. It's incredible. So, to answer your question, I think honestly, if you can open your mind up to the possibilities, I think anything is possible in the day and age we live in. And Peter is a person that absolutely personifies that, and somebody I'd want to just talk his ear off. I read everything he puts out. His book Abundance in 2011, I read it on a road trip. I dog-eared every copy, Thor. I looked at every page. I wrote in every margin. And then when he interviewed former President Bill Clinton, he pulled out his own copy of Abundance with every single page dog-eared and written in every margin. I'm like, this is a guy I want to pay attention to. So he's definitely a hero of mine.
So have you been emailing him weekly or calling his office, or how are you trying to get the interview set up?
Yeah, I've been basically emailing him sporadically every 6 months or so. He hasn't really responded except for one, small note like, "Hey, I got your email," kind of deal. Okay. He's just so busy, right? So I have been on that, but I don't like to be a pushy person.
Okay, that question was had a kind of a barb on it. I thought you might come back and say, "Well, I haven't done that yet." No, so I was trying to set you up there a little bit.
If I want to be in your sphere, I get there eventually, and that's been true of Neil Strauss was one of my early mentors. I and a lot of really smart friends of him eventually convinced him to get married. He's the guy who wrote The Game, and that's a really funny story. I'll tell that some other time. Richard Branson, Tim Ferriss.
He's the guy that wrote The Game, the movie.
Yeah, do you know The Game?
Love it. One of my favorite.
No, that's not the one with Martin. What's his name?
Martin Sheen.
Yeah, not that one. We're talking about The Game, the pickup artist book.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
This world-class pickup artist who could seduce any woman in the world, and now married with a kid. And I think that's a really cool shift. And I want to say I had something to do with that. So that was really cool. And so many other people in his life that love and support Neil. So just it's incredible. Like, you think, you're not going into this relationship to take things. You're going into this relationship to give things as well. So I feel like any relationship or any person of any level, of any class that I get into a relationship with, professional or otherwise, I'm able to add value in some way. I don't care if you're a billionaire. I don't care if you got your whole life figured out on the surface. There's some piece of your life, because you're human, where you might need a little bit of help, or I might be able to connect you to the right resource or person or book or whatever it is. And I'm happy to do that. I don't care where you are at, where you're at. I'm always coming in to any relationship with, how can I serve you? This human standing in front of me, and how can I add value? Because, that's just the way, if everybody operated with that, put your best foot forward mentality, the world would have no problems, or
Absolutely.
Very few problems we couldn't solve.
Yeah. And the divorce rate would be cut in half.
Yeah. If you just see relationships as the places you go to give things instead of get things, the whole world would change.
Absolutely. Brad, share with the Peak Performance Nation audience how they can get a hold of you, your contact information, and more about your company.
It'd be an absolute pleasure. If anybody's listening and would like to learn more about what I do or check out some of the free resources, you can look at makemoremarbles.com. And we have a few different things that we'll link up, the productivity guide, and then marketyourcourse.com. We have a free giveaway. It's 35 strategies to connect with more students for free. You don't have to spend a single dollar on advertising. Those are just 35 strategies you put together that you can use in your business. Use any or all of them to grow your business, to reach more people and impact the world. I can be reached on Facebook as well. Pretty easy to find there. It's just facebook.com/Brad Hart. BRADHART, and I'd be happy to chat with you if you're interested in anything that I have to do that's in my lane. I'm happy to do that, and even if not, like if you need a recommendation, I know a lot of really great people. I'm happy to make a recommendation.
That's awesome. Thank you. I've got two questions before we go. The first one is, everyone's looking for the secrets to happiness, success, wealth, health. What are the secrets?
I don't know if there's one secret that covers everybody, because everybody's a little different, Thor. I think the secret that works for you or works for me might be different than the people listening. So what I believe is that there is a way to get into flow for everybody and to live in that joyful place more time than not, right? You're always going to have human struggles and things are going to come up, and those challenges make who we are. But if you can be grateful for that pain and see it for what it is, it's an opportunity to grow into the person that you're meant to become, and step into that and just embrace it, then I think you're going to have a much better time. And, if you kind of go into every situation thinking, how can I make this situation better than I found it? How can I leave this person better off than I found them, or this group of people, or this whatever, right? I think you'll find a lot of joy in that. And really, like, if you break it down scientifically, like, you just want to feel good, and doing those things, giving and growing, make you feel good. They're a virtuous cycle. So, that's the secret for me. You can use that to inform your journey, your secret, but I think the secret and the wording and the sense of emotion that comes from it will be different for every person. So keep after it until you find it, right? Live in that passionate place. And once you find it, never let it go and just amplify it.
Any parting advice for the listeners?
Get out there and do it. You know your thing. You got that voice in your head or your heart or wherever it's coming from that's telling you what the next step is. So just listen, be quiet, and think, and pray on it if you have to, if you believe in prayer. But do whatever you need to do to take that step forward, because the world deserves you and your gifts. They deserve to have you be a fully expressed best version of yourself and impact the most people possible. We live in a world where everybody can do that. Everybody. I don't want to hear about what's happened in the past. Like, the world is opening up in a way that most people can't even realize. So just tune into it, learn how to leverage it, and make it happen. Because who else is going to be adding what you could add? Who else has had the experiences you've had? Who else can really change the world at the level you can change it, and the way you can change it? Nobody. That's the easy question.
There's only one of you. Awesome. Right. What great advice today. I know the audience is going to want to have you back on. Thank you for spending the time with us, and can't wait to get this out to the audience.
Thank you so much, Thor. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much for taking the time and asking and guiding me on these incredible questions. I feel like I really got to open up here today, and I appreciate it.
Great insights. Are you truly living your potential? Are you getting the results that you need, want, and desire? There was a time in my life where I was not, and I needed answers. For the last 16 years, I've been obsessed with the question of why some people achieve massive results and others do not. And I found out that it comes down to one thing: execution, and the ability to take your ideas and plans and dreams and turn them into reality. That led me to the question, what are peak performers doing that others are not doing? How do they think? How do they act? What is behind the science of execution? I have now uncovered the secrets to the science of execution, and I want to share them with you. I have an intensive 3-day event called the Business Execution Summit. If you are truly committed to taking your game to the next level and mastering the science of execution, the most important skill that you will ever acquire, simply take your phone and text the word BESUMMIT, one word, to 41411, and I'll send you out some additional information on our upcoming event. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.